at our auction, the memory of all that, we have an absolutely fabulous collection of automatons, many of them from original French estates. And I have some of them here for you to see today, which I'm delighted, because seeing them in a catalog does not bring up all of the virtues of an automaton, since you need to see the movement and hear the music. Now, I particularly fond myself of what I call the parlor pieces, under glass. Items under glass are just absolutely wonderful, and we have a great representation of them here. My first one is by an unknown maker. It's French, and it's very, very simple. And when I show you something in a minute, you're going to understand it. But let's watch the piece play. There are so many movements to see. We have the windmill going around. We have the soldier in the clock tower walking around and around in a circle. The boat is tipping back and forth in the turbulent waters. Thank you, the music stopped, so now I can talk a little better. The boat is going back and forth in the turbulent waters. There is water circulating down below in the pipe, not really water, but appearing to be. And there is a parade of soldiers going across the viaduct. And I want to show you how that works now, because it is in a way so simple and yet so complicated, so many extraordinary movements. There are two tunes being played on here. One of them is from an original French opera, comic opera that came out in 1872 that depicted the French Revolution, and we write about it in the catalog, and it may be that this was done to depict that. Now I have to lift this dome off. And now you can see the movement in the back. The soldiers run across the top of this, and then they basically circle underneath. And so a different group of soldiers keep coming up and up again. And I forgot to mention one of the movements. We have the water wheel down below that's turning. Many movements, very complicated, and yet very, very simple. Absolutely charming piece. We're admiring the monkey marquee in the garden. The theme of monkeys costumed or presented as an aristocratic marquis was very, very popular in France, and it was a kind of way of poking a little fun at the snobbish aristocracy, which supposedly ended with the French Revolution, but not really. They continued in their ways. So a way of mocking them was to make them costumed with a monkey face and doing typical things. And here is the aristocrat sitting in his garden, taking tea, smoking his cigar, different movements. His eyes move back and forth, blink open and closed. His mouth opens and closes as though he's talking to someone. He smokes his cigar, he takes a drink, and plays wonderful music the entire time. Beautiful costuming, beautiful presentations, and very, very popular pieces. The Marquis, as a magician, perhaps was not making fun of the aristocracy, but it was a very, very common theme used as, in this case, a wizard. But he has all of the gambling accoutrements going on. And at one time, many years ago, we had a very similar one that we sold, and this had been in a gambling saloon in Austin, Texas, back in the 1800s, so obviously a little entertainment there. You can use it as an entertainment in your own house, because when he lifts those magic cups, you don't know what's going to appear. There are a choice of like 6 different objects: cards, an orange ball, a white ball, a little piece of jewelry. Lots of little things appear underneath the silver cups when he picks them up. His movements are, he turns his head around in this very realistic way, as though he appears as though he's calling out to people, place your bets, place your bets. His eyes blink up and down. He has movement of the mouth, and then he will lift the cup, sometimes at the same time and sometimes alternately. Very, very wonderful. And the whole time music plays. The pieces are always costumed in these very luxurious silks and velvets. The table has this wonderful silk cover with a fringe, and then always we have the arbor with the wonderful flowers that fit into the glass dome in which the piece sits. Definitely luxury parlor pieces, very popular in France, in England, and in America. And here we have the Monkey Marquis again, this time done by the French firm of Vichy with their classic early lever. Very, very wonderful, with the face having lots of animation of the eyes, of the mouth. When I first was cataloging him, I thought, oh, he's missing 2 upper teeth there. And then I realized, no, he's not at all. He has fangs that come down. I mean, this piece was so intricately made. He sits right at the very front of the box that contains the mechanism. Right at the very tip of it, he wears this wonderful silk marquis costume. He has this great wooden harp, and he strums it back and forth with his hands. It's absolutely wonderful, beautiful music, and again, a gentle poking of fun at the marquis. Great costume. Very infrequently, these pieces that were designed not as really play pieces, but as entertainment pieces, to have in a parlor or salon to entertain the guests when they came in. And infrequently, they were made in box form, this one even having a little bale handle to carry it around, which makes it very, very lovely, having the push lever at the side and its original working key. Contained in this deep shadow box, and I want to turn that around so you can see how it has the original paper label on the back. Beautiful, beautiful music coming from there. The wonderful effect of this is magnified threefold because it's designed with side mirrors, so that when you're looking at it, you think you have much more activity going on than you actually do. It is one clown, and he is sitting there, and his movements include lifting his head and turning his head, juggling the ball he holds in his hand, and then the wonderful ball he's juggling with his feet are really great because little hidden strings keep pulling that ball back up, and it looks like he's actually bounced it up in the air. I'm giving his secrets away, I shouldn't. But it makes the whole foot movement much more convoluted and very, very charming. It's a wonderful piece. I see this in somebody's home on a bookshelf, and you could just have it there in the bookshelf, and you could have books or things on each side, and it would fit very perfectly because it's not all that deep. A wonderful display piece. So one of the wonderful bird arrangements made by Blaise Bontemps, who was a French designer of automaton and with particular emphasis on birds. So minute and fine are his works that it's hard to distinguish from an actual bird sound, but not only that, the movements, the way one bird awakens, turns its head, calls, the other one just sits there quietly for a while and finally responds, the way the body movements are made for the feathers moving. And then every once in a while, we have a little butterfly over here who decides to join the party. I want to read you something that I found in one of the publications. This was a reviewer at the 1878 International Exposition in Paris, and this is what he said of the Bontemps exhibition. Monsieur Bontemps is both a mechanic and a naturalist. He must have spent his childhood wandering through the forest, running through the thicket, or lying under the bushes. He has studied the minutest details of birds' behavior and the most subtle modulations of their songs. He knows how they beat their wings, flutter their tails, raise their crest, swell their breasts, launch into song, their notes pure, vibrant, joyous, or melancholy. And to me, that reviewer perfectly captured how the Bontemps pieces work. Always presented in very luxurious arrangements as well, with these wonderful silk flowers and leaves, and in this fabulous porcelain vase with, fittingly, a painting of birds on the front. Another spectacular bird cage by Bontemps, again, and this one has, first of all, before I put it on for it to play, I want to point out to you the incredible work of the bird cage itself. Please look at on top of each place where the winged birds are mounted. This is all in bronze, gilded bronze, and down at the bottom, the porcelain hand-painted plaques by Sebs. There are 8 different scenes in this octagonal shape, and let me turn it so you can capture a few of the scenes. And then we're going to come around and we are going to put on this wonderful bird sound. How could this man have done this? I've tried to imagine how you would do it. Once I thought, well, you could make the notes and then you could come back and you could transpose them into music, but it's not music, it's a bird sound, which is its own kind of music, I guess, but I don't have a brain that works that way, and I don't understand how it could be done, but I think it's so unbelievably spectacular and so luxurious. So here we go now. We're going to put him on to play. Now, the next one is more of a rah-rah kind of thing. I've never seen this automaton before. It's very, very unusual. As nearly as I can figure out, it probably was made as a promotional piece for the 1889 Paris Exposition. She holding her flag in her arm, and as though she's saying to the whole world on this globe she's standing on, come on over here to Paris, we have a good time going. A wonderful piece, and let's just play it for you. Okay. As though she's balancing on top of the world, she tilts from one side to the other. So she has movements of her waist, her arm, her leg, the other arm. And now she's waving this arm out to gain attention, and it's like she's balancing on one foot on the globe. It's ingeniously done with this little slit at the back of the globe that she can glide forward and back on, and the globe is designed to tilt forward and back to aid in the motion. Wonderful piece done by Leopold Lambert. He designed this. This is a very classic design of his. A little girl, in this case a woman with her lady-shaped body, standing on the velvet-covered base, and holding two objects in her hands while her face turns side to side, up and down, and she alternately lifts her hands while music plays. In this case, very, very unusual costume, a flower-shaped costume, very petal-shaped, and if you noticed her hat, I'm going to turn it around one more time so you can see that her hat is a flower, the stem coming out. Very, very distinctively different, little hand-painted designs on the front. And she is holding the lorgnette in one hand, beautiful gilt ormolu lorgnette, and in the other hand she's holding a beautiful fan, and she alternately fans herself and then looks through the lorgnette as though she's gazing out perhaps to see some of those birds that we've just been listening to. The doll is equally enhanced not only because of her rare lady body, rare costume, wonderful accessories, beautifully playing music, but she has her original label from the Paris shop, luxury toy shop in which she was sold, the Magasin des Enfants, and that's that metal label, metal medallion, which is right at the front here. The doll is on her velvet base, which is affixed. You could remove it if you wanted to. It's screwed on to its original ebony wooden base and comes with its original glass dome, which is one of the reasons it's so perfectly preserved. Really great piece.